Welcome back to the Legal Smith Unleashed. I'm attorney Kurt Smith here with my legal acolyte, Dylan Smith.
Hey, good to be back with you.
Good to have you back. A lot of times when we come in, we talk about our successes at trials and our stellar victories that really are unparalleled in the world of law. But
Totally.
sometimes we like to dig into the mailbag and pull out, Dylan likes to pull out some questions at random, try and stump the commissioner and see what some of the listeners want to know about and answer legal questions. And so, Dylan, I'm gonna turn things over to you and see what we can do.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, we got some good little questions today. Start with this one. Dear Legal Smith, I would like to terminate my son's father's rights. He is incarcerated in prison for drugs. It says, my son's dad was physically abusive to me, and when I became pregnant, it got way worse. We were using substances, and when I gave birth, CPS got involved. I turned my life around and did everything I needed to do to get custody back. His dad did nothing over the year we were involved with CPS, and at the end, I got custody back, and the judge let him keep his rights, even though he didn't show up for court. He had convinced me that lying about the things he had done to me. It was the best thing. Some of these aren't as coherent as you would hope. It was the best thing for her son, and I went along with it because he still had a lot of control over me now that I'm completely separated from him. I want his rights terminated, and I want on the record that he was abusive to me the entire time we were together. Even when I was holding my son in my arms, I was secretly documenting violence. I have the pictures, I have the recordings, and many friends that either witnessed things or that I went to for help told me that this is enough.
Okay. Well, that's a fascinating story. Unfortunately, at the end of that huge diatribe, they did not live happily ever after, but... look, that's a great question. Look, apparently there was a CPS case. They opened a juvenile case, and one of the first things that jumps out is, although in every CPS case the goal is reunification with the parents, sometimes that can turn to a goal of termination of parental rights. And so when we're looking at whether or not the rights are going to be terminated within the juvenile court or the CPS court context, typically if they're not going to terminate the parental rights of both parents, they're not going to terminate the parental rights of just one.
Okay.
But that's in the juvenile court. And what a lot of people don't understand is that there's a lot of different divisions of the quote-unquote family court, okay? So there's the domestic court, which handles things like divorces and child custody cases.
Right.
There's the juvenile court, which handles things like child abuse and neglect and juvenile delinquency, which are actually two different divisions of the same court, right? And there's guardianship court. There's in some states they consider probate court in that same venue. So there's multiple different ways to do this, and so it's not surprising at all that even though the mom, apparently that was the mom, right?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Had unless there were two fathers, unless the mom, she got her life together and she got the kid back, and they were going to terminate parental rights, but they gave dad his rights back. I mean, not really. It sounds like the child was placed with mom. And realistically, once you're done with the juvenile court and the child is reunified with at least one of the parents, it's then up to you to go to the domestic court and say, hey, it's time to terminate dad's parental rights. Now, the question that she seems to be asking is that a possibility in this case? And it sounds like the answer is yes. Now, in Nevada, we have NRS 128, which is the termination of parental rights statute. And the termination of parental rights statute has a lot of different layers to it, okay? You can terminate based on abandonment. You can terminate based on unfit parentage. You can terminate on the basis of what would be another good one?
Maybe if you are guilty of a crime, well, that would be unfit parentage, right?
Unfit parentage, token efforts towards maintaining a parental status, or failure of parental adjustment. All of these are different bases for termination of parental rights, and under the termination statute, all you need is one of them. Now, typically speaking, we don't get one of them, right? We get, and when people come in, and just like this mom here is asking a question, there sound like multiple bases that we could do a termination on. So, number one, what she didn't talk about was whether or not dad still has access or custody with the child right now, or visitation. But what she is saying is that dad appears to be an unfit parent. And so when we go through the unfit parentage test, we're actually talking about things such as, was there abuse and persistent abuse and neglect? Or neglect? Was there persistent substance abuse issues? Is there documented violence? Is the child unsafe if the child goes back over to the other home? And it sounds like she's got just a whole host of evidence that would allow her to terminate dad's parental rights. And the reality is that yes, that sounds to me like a case, without having viewed any of the evidence, that sounds like the kind of case that we could terminate parental rights on fairly easily, okay? Now, I say easily, easy for me, right? I don't know about easy for you, but termination of parental rights is, they call it in court the civil death penalty, right?
Right.
The courts ostensibly don't like to do it because you're doing exactly that. You're eliminating one or both parents from the life of a child. Now, that's the legal theory, right? That's the judicial theory. Do the judges like to do this? And realistically, the answer is no from that perspective. But where you run into a case where there is this drug-addled, domestically violent monster who does nothing but beat on mom in front of the child and yell and scream ogreish things at the child and make the child feel like he's a total piece of human refuse. Judges actually love terminating those types of parental rights, as do I, because the child deserves to grow up without that type of issue, right? Nobody likes to hear mean things every day. Nobody likes to hear, there's the old joke, well, maybe that's not a great joke to put out there, but, if I constantly come in and berate you and demean you and tell you what a horrible person you are, as an adult, why would you want to be around that? And yet we have these children who are basically defenseless, who we force to be around that. Oh, well, Nevada prefers joint physical custody, so half the time you're going to be with a loving, wonderful, nurturing parent, and the other half, you'll be abused. Well, nobody wants that, right? And the child doesn't deserve that. And realistically, the family court's job is the protection of these children. We protect them through the granting of rights to either mom, dad, or both. But ultimately, it's protecting the children from the issues that come up in these types of cases.
Sure.
So the answer to the question is yes. That is the type of case where you could terminate those parental rights. I'd love to see those videos, love to talk to those witnesses. But if you're going through something like that and you have an opposing party who is just simply destroying either physically, which is painful for these children, but psychologically sometimes is even more painful for these kids, destroying the psyche of these children, please come see me. We'll get this taken care of. And quite frankly, we do it all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, you never know with these questions what angle they're coming at it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, if you've got CPS involved, I would say run out and get an attorney, right? Because she's asking this question. It seems to be in the context of let's just terminate dad. But as you mentioned, I mean, if CPS is involved and they were both drug addicts at a time, and who knows what the status is now, but sometimes a CPS caseworker might make you think that they're working towards your interests, right? Let me come over and do these interviews, talk to your kid, talk to you, and make you think that their end game is reunification of you and your child, and that's not always the case. Sometimes then they turn around and substantiate an allegation of neglect or abuse against you, and now you're in the hot seat.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, the CPS workers, ostensibly it's always I'm your friend and I'm your tell me all about it. What's going on? And the reality is they're there for a purpose. They're there to protect the children, and hopefully they're there to protect the children in the right way. But I will tell you, don't let them fool you, because I had a case recently that involved CPS, and the mom did everything right, except she was kind of rude to the CPS worker.
Yeah.
Well, guess who's the problem now? It's rude-o mom, right? Because why would you be rude to me? I'm the nice CPS worker. I'm just here to take away your kids if you do something wrong. Yeah. Nobody wants that in their lives. We love that, from a societal perspective of, hey, I found your kid alone in a parking garage at a Las Vegas casino while you're in turning tricks. But, on the flip side, if CPS is coming over to what seems like a normal home and they're leaving with 6 children in tow, and the parents are going, all I did is say, get the hell out of my house. Well, yeah, don't do that, right? Yeah. Don't do that. But also, they're not there to be your friend either.
They're not. And they're state workers, right? So I would be horrified if I was in that position. I would run out and get an attorney as soon as I could.
Absolutely.
But good luck to her, right?
Right.
Got another question for you.
All right, bring it on.
Let's see here. This is a fun one. Dear Legal Smith, I married an illegal immigrant in 2014 just to find out 15 years later he already had a common law marriage with another 2. What do I do? It says him and the first lady were married under fake IDs, and she got divorced from him after she found out he was going to marry me. She divorced him under a fake ID, and now we are married. But I don't think my marriage is legit. Is my last name legit? I married it to his, but our for marriage isn't legit. I'm sorry, it's not me. These kind of yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. So if I can give a synopsis of what I understood from the question, okay? I found out that my husband, more than 15 years ago, got common law married to a woman under a fake ID. And then they broke up, and she, I guess, common law divorced him using that same or a different fake ID when she learned that her common law husband, who also got common law married under a fake ID, was going to marry her legitimately.
That's about right.
About right.
To the
okay.
record.
Let's talk about it. What is a common law marriage?
You tell me.
Okay, I will tell you. A common law marriage is a marriage where you never get married, okay? There's no ceremony. There's no priest. There's no voodoo shaman. There's no anything. You meet this person and you say, hello, you look beautiful, and I'd like you to be my wife. You don't even have to say those words. You just pretend that you're married. And so as you're walking down the street, they go, hey, who's this? Well, that's my wife, right? And she says, well, that's my husband. And if you're together for a certain amount of time, it's deemed a marriage. Now, where is common law marriage valid?
Well, I can tell you, I can't tell you everywhere, but I was living in Texas for a time, and I know it was valid there. People would say, and I don't know if it's, across the boards in every jurisdiction, but if you live together for like 5 years or something, then you were common law married in Texas?
Listen, there's lots of laws on the books with regard to this all over the country. There was a time, I think it was Missouri, where if you checked into a hotel with someone, you're married.
Wow.
I don't think that law's still on the books, but it could be. 7 years is a fairly common time period. 5 years I've heard is kind of a short one. I know there are various states that accept common law marriage. Guess which state is not one that accepts common law marriage?
Nevada.
Nevada does not. Now, I don't know if that's because they say pish posh, this is just a big fake thing that you're doing, or if they're saying, well, if you can just common law marry, why would you come to our beautiful wedding chapels? Why would you book a beautiful Vegas wedding if you could just say you're common law married? No. We don't like the common law. We want a real marriage, right? So come on down here. Our wedding bureau is open 24 hours a day. Come on down with your papers, and standing right outside will be I don't want to call him a salesman, but a esteemed representative from one of our wedding chapels that will whisk you away in a limo and get you married right then, notwithstanding the fact that you may be sloppy drunk and about to fall down, right? We want you married, right? Because it's yet another allure of Las Vegas. Come on and get married. You can get married from Elvis here in Las Vegas at a drive-through wedding chapel, never having to leave your car. In fact, I know some people that have done it, right? So you can do that. I've also seen people get married in full knight and damsel regalia, right? I mean, holy cow.
Yeah, there's some fun ones.
Lots of fun weddings here in Las Vegas, but we don't accept common law marriage here in Nevada, except if you are validly common law married in another jurisdiction and you move to Nevada with your common law spouse, you are common law married here in Las Vegas. We will accept that designation because you were validly common law married somewhere else.
Interesting. I didn't know that they did that.
They do that. So the question here is, we got common law married under a fake ID. That sounds common law preposterous to me. It doesn't sound like a real thing, but let's assume that we did.
Yeah, my read on this was, sorry to interrupt you, but he's lying to her, right?
Right.
Husband's lying to her. Oh, that's not even me. It's a fake ID. In fact, the name I gave you 15 years ago, that's my real name.
Right. Who knows, right? I guess theoretically under that rule, if you are common law married, you are common law married. And what the question begs, the question that's begged within this question is it a valid marriage? Now, the one that we did 15 years ago, I guess under the law it wouldn't be, right? Because if you're common law married, then how can you be married to another person? Now, if you're common law married and you both use fake IDs to common law married because there's somewhere where you have to have a valid ID to be common law married, I don't know where that might be, probably Florida somewhere. But if that's the case, then it sounds like you're not common law married at all, because that was a fraudulent common law marriage. You know, I thought I was married to the inestimable Dylan Smith, when in reality, it's Old Man Withers, right?
Right.
No. So that doesn't sound like a valid common law marriage, and so this marriage would be valid. The end result, however, is when in doubt, take it to court anyway, and whether you're trying to do an annulment and the judge will let you know whether or not they consider it valid or whether you need a divorce, it sounds like, based on the question, she's not looking to say, hey, by the way, everything is going so great here now that it's only the fact that there's this fake common law marriage. That's the only problem. Otherwise, we are living in marital bliss.
Right.
She's looking for a way out. And I'm here to tell you, there is a way out. It's called divorce, right? Yeah. And sometimes, at least in Nevada anyway, divorce is actually a quicker thing than actually an annulment. Mm-hmm. So if you find yourself within a precarious marital situation, there is help. And, while people sometimes really agonize over whether it's going to be a divorce or an annulment. The reality is these are both two flip sides of the same coin.
Right. Yeah. Well, good luck to you. Give us a call.
Give us a call if you find yourself in that situation. In fact, we had a case one time, fairly similar, where this guy comes in and he says, hey, I met this girl and I went out to her to meet her parents, and I stayed for dinner, and afterwards I went to leave, and Dad, the girl's father, escorted me out to the barn and started performing this ceremony, this ritualistic ceremony, and I think I'm married.
Huh.
And I was like, wow, I've really never heard of that. Perhaps certain places that type of Santeria is going to be valid somewhere. And we actually
probably
went
in Florida somewhere, right?
It could be Louisiana, I'm guessing on that one. But we went and looked up marital records, and boy, wouldn't you know, the marriage certificate that was on file for him indicated he got married from a regular old preacher. And he's like, well, what? I didn't know that. I thought it was just some I didn't even think about being married. I'm like, you're a nut.
Yeah.
That's what you are.
It's usually you're trying to find a way out of the marriage quickly and easily,
Right.
And you think it's the annulment, and it's not the annulment. Just file for a divorce, and it'll be over in 2 months. You got to prove a lot more for an annulment. You don't realize that.
Yeah, but how do I walk away from all my responsibilities easily and quickly? That's really the question, right? Yeah. Anyway,
Buy a flight out of the country.
what else you got?
Dear Legal Smith, can I leave a group home at 18 and not get in trouble?
Wow.
I turn 18 actually next year in February of 2026. Can I leave a group home then?
Multiple part question. Can you leave a group home then? Yes. The second you turn 18, you may walk out of your group home unless somehow you have a guardianship over you because you're mentally incapacitated, and that guardianship has been extended into an adult guardianship. Now, can you leave the group home and not get in trouble? I don't think this is the way the question was supposed to be phrased, but the answer is, based on the question, probably not. Okay? There's the old expression out there, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And if the second you turn 18, you leave the group home, I will bet my bottom dollar you are going to be 10 minutes from there in trouble, whether it's sleeping under a bridge and finding out that you're too cold and hungry and starting to steal stuff, or whether you go out and you meet Stromboli and find yourself on Pleasure Island in a bunch of situations that you don't expect yourself to be in. You're going to be in trouble. So the reality is, legally you can leave, but if you find yourself in that situation, you got to have a plan, right?
Yeah.
Where am I going to work? Where am I going to live? How am I going to eat? How am I going to survive? And if you can answer those questions, then the answer is yes, you can leave without getting in trouble. But otherwise, probably not.
Now, this question was similar to the last one for me in that it didn't explain everything that we needed.
Right.
I had so many questions, right? Mm-hmm. Who knows what's going on? I mean, if this person were on the phone right now, we'd have a ball, right?
Right.
But can I leave at 18 and not get in trouble? Well, what if there's been some abuse or some, something going on at that group home?
Right.
You may have a case against the group home.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe
too.
you can not only leave, but leave with a great settlement in your pocket.
A hefty
really get set up for the next phase of your life.
Dylan shilling for a personal injury case here.
More of a wrongful. I don't know. There's something there. There's some sort of a civil suit in there, and you give us a call. We can surely get to the bottom of it, right? Right.
Sure.
That's it. That's an.
What else you got?
Let's see. This is a funny one. Dear Legal Smith, can I get a restraining order for my 19-year-old pregnant daughter against someone that is abusive or trying to get her to do drug?
Huh. Wow. The answer to the question is no, you may not. And the clue there was 19-year-old daughter, okay? Your daughter's 19 years old, and what I'm hearing here, listen, I'm going to go ahead and be blunt. For whatever reason, your daughter's not on the right path. She's gone out. She sounds like she's gotten pregnant out of wedlock. She's having a child. She's doing drugs. She's hanging around with the wrong crowd. And I'm guessing that none of that happened in a vacuum.
Right.
How did your child get to a place where doing drugs and sleeping around and really not having a plan and hanging out with the wrong crowd was okay? So, the law doesn't necessarily fix everything, right? Your daughter is legally entitled, in fact, constitutionally entitled, to go out and make bad decisions. The time to have taken these corrective actions was before the child turned 18, probably not after. Now, you may have a great guardianship case once that baby's born, because mom doesn't sound like she's on the right path at all, and she's hanging out with the wrong people, and whether or not she can actually care for a child, or whether or not CPS would even allow her to if the child's born with drugs in the system, is a whole nother issue. But can you file for a TPO now? Unless you are the legal parent of a minor child or a guardian, you cannot file a TPO on someone else's behalf, temporary protective order. They have to do it on their own. And in fact, if you were to try, you might find yourself with a TPO against you by your daughter.
True. Yeah, for harassing her and her boyfriend, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All we were doing was a little meth. Hey, leave us alone.
Yeah, typically when daughters' moms try to help in those ways, that's pretty much how it's responded to, right?
All you can do is be there for them, love them, and if things don't change, that's what the guardianship court's for.
Yeah. Let's see, any other good ones in here? I think I've got some other ones, but here's a decent one. This is a common question, I'm sure. Dear Legal Smith, to prosecute a contempt trial, what type of attorney would I need to hire? The issue is over child custody and visitation. Do I need to hire a family law attorney or a defense attorney?
Huh. Okay. Well, to prosecute a contempt case, one would not hire a defense attorney. One would hire a prosecuting attorney. Although that's a little bit of a misnomer, because a prosecutor is actually a state employee at the DA's office or the city attorney's office or the federal prosecutor's office, etc. So you wouldn't hire either one. Realistically, there are various avenues of the law, and you want to go to the avenue that has the most experience with what you're doing. So in a child custody case, you'd want a domestic lawyer. Now, you probably want a trial attorney that also does family law.
Yeah.
But you certainly wouldn't go to a personal injury attorney and say, hey, I hear you got my friend $1 million settlement. Why don't you come prosecute my contempt charge in the family court? The two areas of law don't intersect. And it's not that lawyers can't do it. It's that it probably isn't a good idea because they spend all their time in a different area of law. In fact, we had a recent case where I had the mom and her husband fighting a custody battle, and the husband was a personal injury attorney.
Oh, yeah?
And he decided that he was not skilled enough to win his case, so he hired a family law attorney. Not only did we destroy the other family law attorney, we put him on the stand, and boy, was he an absolutely horrible witness. Oh my goodness, he could not have dug a bigger hole for himself. And the absolute jackassery with which I'm sure he reacts in court during his own cases to explain how his clients got a broken neck or a twisted spine or whatever it is they do to jack up their personal injury settlements did not go over well with the family court. So,
as these things tend to happen, right?
As tend to happen.
And same. I mean, I think this guy was really asking, do I need a criminal attorney or a family law attorney?
That sounds probably accurate, but but realistically, no, it's not a criminal attorney. They're different laws, and attorneys know the law, but good attorneys focus on a certain area, and that's probably the guy you want.
Right.
Yep.
Well, that's all the questions we've got today.
Well, look, if you find yourself in need of legal assistance like these folks do and have some questions, no matter how crazy, we treat these things a little bit lightheartedly sometimes here on the show, but we're here to help, and there's often a way out of the problems that you're having, whether that's legal advice or whether that's filing for actual custodial issues. Like, share, and subscribe if you would, if you'd like to see more content like this and more expert legal readings from our illustrious paralegal extraordinaire with the brightest smile I've ever seen. And we'll see you next time on The Legal Smith Unleashed.
See you next time.